So hi Manoj.
Hi Susheel.
Yeah. So can you please give a small introduction about yourself, like what you are doing right now, and about your journey to this point? Right.
Sure, I'm Manoj, co-founder at CogniMuse. We are a product engineering company. We help startups, founders build their software products faster. Right?
Okay.
So that's what we are doing at CogniMuse. Before CogniMuse, I was a CTO and co-founder of a company called Marble AI, where we try to build a concept called a second brain using AI. So this was in 2020. Uh, Before that, I was working for two different companies, healthcare companies, healthcare deep tech startups, building biomedical devices, biomedical sensors for to monitor chronic wound, uh,
Okay.
to detect how well the wound is healing.
Okay.
Right, so that was for my core expertise lies in hardware. That's how I started my career with, and then it moved more towards AI side of the things, AI software, and now I'm back to a pure software side of the things.
Okay. Okay. Right now, I want you to talk something about your college life. Like, what kind of person were you in your college, and what kind of life you had over there, and also something about your college and your friends as well.
Sure. Like I did my schooling in Tamil Nadu, right? So moving from a small town in Tamil Nadu, to a big university like Manipal was a big cultural shock for me. It was nothing like, I mean, it was not planned. Like MIT Manipal, studying in MIT Manipal is not part of my plan, right? I wanted to do MBBS. Unfortunately, I couldn't get in, so I
Okay.
have to do. I have to find something which is very close to MBBS, which I think is biomedical engineering, right? So I took biomedical engineering at MIT in 2014 is when I started. As I told you, it's nothing similar to what I had expectation I had in mind, because I was raised by watching a lot of movies about engineering in movies, right? So it
Yeah.
was not even close to what it was. Right? So in movies, they most of the time they still have fun. I had fun. I had my bit of fun. But exams, when it comes to exams, I have to focus on study as well, because my peers are much smarter than me in college, right? So it's more of a relative grading things in MIT, right? So I have to be very cautious about all of the things, and make sure that you keep your academic sides on one side, on the other side, you also have fun in college life, right? So, but yeah, to
Okay.
answer to your question, back then in college, I think I was more of an introvert.
Okay.
I had a very small set of friends where I was really comfortable with. I'm just spending only time with them. I never used to network with others, for especially people from outside Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. I was not really comfortable speaking to them. So never bothered to network, right? Even though I had one or two friends from different states, but it's just like a hi bye, right? So it's not too deep of a friendship that I've built with people outside. But one or two friends I had were very good friends. I'm still in touch with, right? But after graduation, to be honest, after graduation, I kind of met some people who are now entrepreneurs, who are doing some good things in life. So I met them after college. But in back then it was college, I was not really confident about myself to
Okay.
go put myself in a position and speak to a lot of people, and uh, yeah, so I was not really into that.
Okay. So, what kind of idea did you have about spirituality back then in your college days? Like, were you actually a spiritual person, during your college days?
Okay, so I didn't know something called spirituality exist back then, right? So for me, the idea of spirituality is about, okay, spirituality and religion is all the same,
Okay.
right? So I kind of hated religion. I was religious when I was born, right? I used to do a lot of practices. I used to put ashes on the forehead and used to go to school. I was very confident that way, because in Tamil Nadu,
Yeah.
right? So these things are pretty common. You can put ash and you can just go to
Yeah.
school. they won't ask you anything. And in fact, like there'll be 2-3 people in the class who used to do that, so it becomes very normalized. But it is not like. But in Karnataka, when I came, especially in MIT, the things were a little different. If you do things like this, I think people will call you a weirdo in college specifically, right? So I think that's one of the reason where you don't want to do things like this. But in Tamil Nadu, I did all those things, so I was more religious.
Okay.
But as and when you study a lot of books, you talk to like scientific people, scientific minds, right? You start to question a lot of things. Then all of a sudden, all of these things will not make sense at all after a point. So you would end up more towards atheistic view of things. So I used to say that, okay, the same guy who used to pray to God for hours and hours, and after a point I started questioning, like, you tell God exists in all the places, right? Like, no, show me. Right, that's how it is. And the people are like failing miserably to convince me that, okay, there is actually a God in or wherever you see. Right, so and then I lost hope, and then I thought, like, okay, probably science, at least if you do it, you'll end up making good money, right? What will religion will fetch you, right? So I stopped believing like, all of this. So I thought like spiritual religions are same.
Okay.
For the worst, I would think like probably spirituality is about meditation, sitting somewhere in the calm, and you close your eyes and meditate for 10 minutes. That's what spirituality is about, is what I thought. So not really was into spirituality back in college days. I was just like having my good time, having fun.
So like, what do you say about spirituality? Like, what is it about? What is spirituality about? Okay, in today's date, or like for the current generation.
Okay, I mean, that's a good thing that you put it. You said it for the current generation, right?
Okay.
Because so it has different meanings. It has different definition, right? Like, so there are many layers of definition to spirituality. I will not get into the higher definition of spirituality. I will try to rather make things easier for everybody to have a good understanding to start with, right? But this understanding will never take you to the next step. Good enough to start. So, as the name says, spirituality, you can say it's a science of studying about your spirit, right? So that's it. Spirituality is about a field of science that's about studying about your spirit. It could be as simple as this. Then the next question comes, then what the hell is your spirit and everything, right? So that's the next stage. But to give a definition, it's about the science of studying, understanding your spirit, what it is, and everything.
So is it like nothing related to religion, or like, believing in God or something like that?
No, so so God can be visualized in two things. One is with form and one is without form, right? So in our religion, it is told to us that, or at least most of the scriptures that talks about, is focusing God on with form. That was the most famous philosophy that exists outside, right?
Yeah.
So when you think of with form, then it's easier for you to connect with God. So they'll start with that, which doesn't mean that that's the only thing. In Hinduism, there are so many ways of you can reach the higher stages, right? So other thing is a without form. When you think of without form, you can think of certain attributes that is attached to it. Like, for example, God can be a merciful person, or you can call God as a pure person, or whatever it is, right? So it doesn't have to be a face attached to it, right? So things like that.
Okay. So do you think like your engineering or your current entrepreneurship, or like the entrepreneurial journey, has affected, or like, shape, has influence in shaping this idea about spirituality, what you have right now?
Of course, in fact, like, somebody who's into spirituality, that could mean that probably they've understood a good amount of science, so that they can confidently go outside and tell that I don't think I know everything in science, so I'm okay with exploring the spirituality side of the things. Only when you understand the fundamentals of science, to an extent, after that you know that there is no answer for many questions, right? Then you will probably come to spirituality and everything, right? So if you think in that way, early on I got an opportunity to work with very good entrepreneurs who put my mind into thinking about fundamentals and everything, right? So when I started from there, so I started going deeper in terms of science as well. Started asking questions. Okay, so if you say God doesn't exist, like first start with who is God, what is God, and everything. If there is a God, how do you measure it? Right? Is there any way to measure him or something? Like how if some spirit comes in, you'll have some devices. It will So similarly, do we have something devices like this, right? So having a knowledge about sensors and everything, I started thinking from a sensor point of view. Started asking questions like this. Then when you go deeper and deeper in the field of sensor itself, then you understand that you are making a lot of assumptions to get the output that you are getting through sensors, right? So then when you start asking questions about these assumptions, as you said, right, there are millions of assumptions which could change the end output that you are seeking. Is it getting too confused for you?
No,
Looks like you're losing a track.
No, like I'm trying to have a
Okay.
perspective.
So to keep things very simple, even if you're a scientific mind, if you go deeper and deeper, science is nothing different than a spirituality, at least in the initial stages. If you talk about science, it deals with body, mind, and senses.
True.
For example, how do you know that this light is on?
We can just see it,
Yeah.
the way it is. Huh?
Exactly, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
See, eye is one of a sensor, which means that it perceives light and everything, right? So eye, right? And if you touch it, you feel it, right?
Yeah.
So there is another sensory signal that is going to in the brain to tell you that this is light. Okay, that is how everything works. Science, you do some experiments, you see it yourself, and then you come to a conclusion that probably it is right. Somebody tells you that there is a place called America exists. How will you believe America exists, right? How will you believe?
Either we have to
You
see
might
that
say
place,
like, you've never been to America, right? So how do you know that America exists in the first place, right? You don't. So you'll ask your friend. So he will say like, yes, America exists. I've been to America. So there is a high chance that America actually might be existing on the other side. Or as you will watch movies and everything, you watch again and again, then you will believe it. Imagine that's all a scripted thing. America doesn't exist. They made you believe that America existed. How would you feel?
Yeah.
Right, so,
Like we're just blindly believing it without even like trying
yeah,
to check.
that's what. Like at times you have to make peace with it. Whether this belief that you have, is it okay, or it will kind of ruin your entire thought process. So you believe, right? Do you believe that America exists?
Yeah.
How do you believe? Now I can ask you 1,000 questions saying that there is no way you are right. I think you are lying.
Yeah, like mostly based on the facts put in front of us.
Exactly. This is also science, right? I mean, how do you know that Newton's law exists? You have studied about it, you written in the exams, you got marks. But how do you know that actually exists? Are you a Newton? Have you read his paper? Understand the equation whether it's correct or not? You just believe, right?
Yeah.
So in science, you believe things. On the other side, in spirituality, in a country like India, where the monks and everybody says that I have done it, okay, I got this. You can also get it. Then you have a lot of questions saying that it's a pseudoscience and everything, right? So science, like you ask a lot of questions and you do a lot of experiments. Once you do a lot of experiments, when you see results, then you get a good conviction, you get a belief that probably this is right, and then you follow it for the rest of your life. That's how PhD and everybody they work on it, right?
Yeah.
Until a point where your conviction is challenged and other person says that probably your thought process is not right, then you will do the experiments again, come up with the different results because of the different variables that other people come and give you, and you will probably reach a different conclusion, or you will stick with your own point. So simple. This is all science is about. Okay, you have an idea, you test it with the data, prove it to the world till somebody comes and challenges it. Okay, so Newton, next Albert Einstein. Okay, whatever Newton had, then Albert Einstein put relativity to it, and then he made things a little bit better and better. Right? Probably next people who come into the science field, they might challenge the status quo, and they might have something. Right? Similarly, spirituality same way. Okay, let's say you have an hypothesis. Somebody says, some monks comes and says that, hey, if you meditated or you do a lot of practices, you will reach enlightenment. Okay, instead of you saying that no, probably he is wrong and everything, right? You have a lot of reasons, scientific explanation. That is good. Okay, when I started my spiritual journey, I was also asking a lot of questions, lot of questions. But after a point where most of the people are stuck at it, they just get stuck at that intellectual part of the things, just asking questions alone and not do anything about it. Then you are hampering your growth. It could be spirituality or it could be science.
Even in like general, like in,
even in general in life, right? You have an hypothesis. Let's say you say that I want to do this podcast and everything. Now you can theorize, you can hypothesis saying that I will spend like 1 month in doing low, I will do all these things, I will become better. No, there are ways where you can even do the same thing in probably 2-3 days, right?
yeah,
But you will pick up the path of 2 to 3 days only when if you want it in 2 to 3 days. So it's all based on how much of urge that you have to reach
want is
where
what
you
you said.
want to go, right? That's all also plays a major role, right? So one part is, as I told you, science and spirituality is not really different. To some extent it is all the same, but after a point, as I told you, science is about body, mind, senses and everything. It will only limit to that. If you come to spirituality, it is beyond body, mind, senses and everything. So when you enter that portal, things are very different. But till you enter that portal, even if you say that you are coming for scientific mind, it's really good because there is a high chance that you will be able to progress things faster, provided that you are a really, really good science guy. If you're a half-baked science guy like most of us are, right, then you will not even have a growth in spirituality or even the scientific field. Right, so I come from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, like Ramakrishna tradition. There, the monks who come there, it's not only just the people who never went to school or something, right? It's also, in fact, everybody is educated. In fact, some people have a PhDs. There's some people are doctors, right? So they have a good scientific mind to even enter into spirituality. So that's how it works.
Okay. So, like, do you think spirituality is important to the current generation, the Gen Z? And do you think is it like it is fading out in the like particular generation?
Well, contrary to fading out, I think it is going to come up.
Okay. Why do you say so?
Yeah, why? Because there is always a different phases like of life in anything that you do, anything you take, right? For example, first you start with probably saying that for me getting a job is my goal. As a college students, like we all want to get a job. Once you get a job, you will think like, okay, probably I want something else better, like better pay, or I want to work under a better professor. So if you're working with a professor like studying from IIT or something, then you would want to work with a professor from Harvard, Stanford or something.
Yeah.
Right. So you go step by step, and you want to aspire higher and higher and higher, right? What was the question again? Sorry.
Like, do you think spirituality is fading out in the current
Correct.
generation?
Yeah. So that's what you do. So what I see is that in our previous generation, our parents worked really hard to give us a kind of stable life. For example, we have a food like in our home every day. We have a shelter. It's a basic things are kind of taken care of, right? So when the basic things are taken care of, your goal in life would be is to just to go to a college and get a job. As simple as this. Not probably worry about I need to buy a car in EMI or do something like that. Not at least like
the generation
yeah,
has
it has changed, right?
Yeah.
So since they didn't have any other time but to work hard and provide for you, they probably might not have thought about things like spirituality and everything. But in this generation, we have a lot of time, right? So we go to work, we come back early. And earlier, parents probably they used to come very late, right? And they will be very tired because most of the work they do probably is a manual work or something. Their body is physically tired. They come home, eat, sleep. That's it. Right? But right now it is not like it's all
about the
computer
comfort
work.
and luxury. What do you
Yeah,
have?
it's a comfort, right? So what happens now is that you're meant like it's not stimulated much. So but brain wants some kind of external stimulation. Either you can get it through some artificial stimulation like drinking or something. Otherwise, you can read books to satisfy the some kind of the quench that you have, right? So yeah, so next generation, I think a lot of people will pick it up because they already reach a point where they think like they already got pretty much everything. Right? They don't really have to go to job at times as well. They can still, if someone is being laid off, they can afford to stay in the house for 1 year without job. Unlike our previous generation, right? If they get laid off, then you're done. You'll be on the street the next day. Right? So they have this kind of flexibility, right? So probably people will start thinking about asking questions like, "What is my purpose in life? What is my passion? I should follow my passion for some couple of years before I could do something." All the thoughts process comes in. right? All this thought process, I feel somehow eventually end up in spirituality anyways, because you have everything in life, you still not happy or content, right? So now you'll start asking questions like, what is something that will make me happy, right? And then you'll start asking, what is something that will make me happy all the time.
Yeah, I've seen like some celebrities or like some famous people, like some famous personalities taking up spirituality, at some point of their
Yeah,
career.
because they will think like initially, like recognition and money probably is everything. Once you have all, then you understand that okay, I worked so hard for this, but now since I have it, like I don't feel like I want it anymore. I just want to give it away to people. So people who haven't have had that, right? They will think like, okay, now it doesn't make sense. Like I would give away everything to have what you have achieved, right? But still, like I mean, that's how it is. Like look at people like our Bollywood actors or something. They have a lot of recognition. They have a lot of followers, but they can't go out in the public all by themselves,
It's kind
right?
of restricting themselves.
So that's why they go to outside India. That's why, because people don't really worry who they are and everything, right? So that's a very normal thing. You will have all this adrenaline rush and everything till you have it. Once you have it, I think that's it, right? Then you will go back to fundamentals, and then you'll start thinking like, okay, my school life was good. Look at college life is boring.
Yeah.
Once you finish the college life, you'll say like, oh, college life was much better, right? Then you will say that, okay, at the age of 30, you'll say like my 25 is in the early stage of my career was good. Okay, which means that nobody's happy at each stage.
Yeah.
Right, so
People forget to be okay. This is one more thing about people forgetting to live their present and worrying about either their past or the future.
example, like even yourself, worry too much about what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to get it right, that you forget about the present, right?
Yeah.
So every stage will have its own set of challenges. But once you start doing all these things, once you getting things what you really wanted in life, eventually people will want calmness. They want to travel. They want to do all this. I see a lot of the movement of Isha, Sadhguru, Art of Living. These people are coming up, right? A lot of people are taking up. Those are the same folks in college. They said like, no, I want to be this, and everything. Right now, they're all doing sadhanas. Some sitting in Bangalore ashrams and everything.
Yeah.
So I feel that's a very natural progress. The people who are more open to all of this idea, and even look at us like a science and experiment and do it themselves, and then they get it. Those are people who move faster in spirituality compared to people like who just keep questioning and don't know anything about it. It's true in business or in science or anything, right? So I feel like it is going to take up because people are going to not feel the meaning in their life. They start asking deep question, and eventually they'll end up in spirituality anyways.
Okay. So what are some of the practices or things like what you do to stay grounded?
Well, it all depends on which tradition that you come from, and who is your guru, and what type of techniques that has been suggested by the guru to you to reach the to progress something in your spirituality. Right, so there is no one solution that would fit.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Why I said that this path and everything, you pick the guru that you pick, right? It will shape you what type of decision that you will make. For example, if you are told to do a lot of karma yoga, right, or karma yoga, right, you need to treat whatever actions, whatever you do and you shouldn't be attached to any of the thing that you do. If you're coming from that path, how do you stay humble? Let's say that in the business tomorrow that you make something big. Then you say that I didn't do anything, right? God made me do it, I just did it. So you can stay humble because you haven't done anything, right? So so imagine tomorrow like A. Rahman wins the Oscar, right? You will feel happy, but after a point you know that deep inside that you can't take any credits for that, right? You didn't do anything. Similarly, if you become successful, you don't take credit for anything you did. You say like, I just didn't do anything. Like just that I did it. It's my job. I just did it. That's it. This way you can stay humble. If you're coming from karma yoga like point of view, let's say that your guru tell you that you are a bhakti, you should follow the bhakti marg, right? Then you should say that I achieved successful. I become successful. Then if God made me become like God wanted me to successful, I am God. It's not me. God wanted me, so I did it. Tomorrow when you have a failure, same thing, right? I did my best. I didn't have any control over the results. but I gave my best, right? So I don't have to worry about it, right? It just meant to happen. It happened. That's it. You can stay grounded even in the failures. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga. Oh God, you want me to suffer? Okay, I'll suffer for you. I have no problem. So in that way, you're still happy. Even in the suffering, you're happy. In the happiness is also you're happy, right? So nothing really affects. So it's all based on which mark that you pick, which guru initiates you. If you follow that path, there is a higher chances of success in whatever you're trying to do. So I can't suggest one method that these people should follow to reach it. But right, there are some prerequisites, irrespective of any path you follow. There are some prerequisites that if you follow it, there is a high chances that you eventually find your path. For example, you shouldn't tell lies, right? Like non-violence, and always try to remain sattvic, right? And then be pure with your thoughts, speech, and all these things, right? These are like a very normal thing. If you do this, it will kind of purify your mind, so that mind is prepared for the next step. Right, so these are the small things like people can do. I mean, I haven't listed down the points, right? But there are books which talks extensively about prerequisites before even get a spiritual knowledge, right? You need to have some prerequisites. Again, to correlate with the science, right? If you want to do a deep research in one area of the field, you probably have to do a bachelor's and then master's, and then do a project in those lines so that you are ready to do PhD in a specific domain. Prerequisites, it's must, right? So similarly in spirituality we have a lot of prerequisites that you can focus on it. Eventually you'll find your path.
Okay, so Manoj, you are an engineer, also like you're quite young and like from a new generation, so like
Changer.
so like what do you think, like makes people think that they can trust in what you are told and believe in what you are told
In what?
about the spirituality and stuff like that, which is not related to engineering or your thing?
Okay, so you shouldn't. Why? Because everyone's path is different, and everyone's journey is different. Whatever I told, my journey might not make sense to you. Right, so that's why the people like Swami Vivekananda, they're very clear. Like the Hinduism, our religion, spirituality, right? It is not a theory. Anybody can practice it who will reach it. Right? It's like anybody who do it, right? They can all realize God. That's the end goal, like realizing God or reaching enlightenment or whatever you call it as, right? So anybody can reach there, right? Nobody should listen to the other people. You should self-retrospect. You should do everything, and then if that really makes sense to you, then you should follow. That's all it is.
Okay.
But to answer to your question, why I can speak, right?
Yeah.
Of course, like in the Hinduism, there are prerequisites to for yourself to be qualified as a teacher to even talk about all these things, right? So I had this problem myself, like a lot of people come and ask me about spirituality and everything. Should I really talk to them about it or something like that, right? So initially I used to never do all these things to people, and then once I asked my guru, right, like can I do all these things, because you don't really have an authority. Like for example, you've never been to America, but you worked with your friends who have been to America, so they give a description of what America is. With that knowledge, you'll still go tell people like, hey, this is America and everything, right? So I asked my guru, like I've never achieved whatever the book says, right? I've not even had a glimpse of what it is. But should I? Well, I feel very bad in talking about all these things to other people, because I feel like what do they call it? Imposter syndrome. Right? You have an imposter syndrome where you should talk about all these things. But he told me it's okay, because the people that you're going to speak to, they're not in higher orders of spirituality, right? If they are there, then they probably have a guru and they're doing some practices. They are not. So you can talk about it and don't feel bad about it. Even if you speak to 100 people on this, if one or two if they have some kind of positive influence in their life, that is good enough. right, for your stage. Right? You don't worry too much about should I speak about it, all these things. Anything good thing that you would like to speak, you just go and speak.
Okay.
Right? You might be wrong at times, but
True.
that's okay. That's a part, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I see things. Right?
Okay.
There are certain things, especially Indians,
Mm-hmm.
they're very humble that they don't really confidently speak about things. On the other side, Westerners, right? Even though they don't have a good knowledge, they confidently go and speak things.
Yeah.
Right? Which I think we should. With some good knowledge, you can only speak in that knowledge. I can't speak about what enlightenment is and everything because it's a journey to reach, right? But a lower forms, like out of 1 to 10, I can speak probably about 1 to 2. That's it. Like that's my limit, right? There, I think good enough for other people who are still at 0.5.
Okay, well that answers the question. Okay, so any book idea or quote that is stuck with you?
I used to read a lot of books,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot. Probably so far, I would have read close to like 200 plus books, I guess. Uh, Again, so how I pick books is very different from how you might pick books, right? So how I pick books is very simple. My fundamental is that I'll see what problem that I'm facing in my life currently, or where do I want to upskill, and then I pick books that will help me in solving that specific problem in that specific duration. Right, that's how I pick books. For example, waking up is very early for like it's very hard for me. So I've read the 5 a.m. Club book that talks about how waking up early morning is important and everything. Once I solve the problem, then I don't read that book anymore. Usually, you read 25% of the book. By reading 25% of the book, right, you still solve the problem, right? Then that book doesn't make sense to me after that point. So there was times where I was focused. I was very struggling with how do you be a leader, right? Then I read a book called Leadership in Turbulent Times, where they speak about how great presidents of America they they become president in a very difficult times and still solve problems and end up becoming one of the best presidents in the US history, right? So I was facing a problem, then I'll find books that will solve a problem directly or indirectly, and then I'll try to read so that I can put an end to that reading at that point. After a point, once I become better at leadership, right, then after reading the book might not make sense, or you will see the same content in a very different perspective. That is different.
Yeah.
But the idea is that like it's all about like I don't know much about you, right? So I can't really suggest a book for you, but I can speak for myself. I started in spirituality. If you ask me book specific to spirituality, I started with a book called book it's in Tamil, right? It's about a monk called Ramana Maharishi, his life history, and how he came to a point where he was asking question, who am I, and everything. That was my first spiritual book I started, and then from then on I have a lot of YouTube binge watching on the internet about spirituality, some good gurus that I found on internet. I started consuming their content, and then I came across a book called Autobiography of Yogi, which is a very famous book suggested by people like Steve Jobs and everybody. It's a very famous book in the West, at least.
Okay.
I read that book. Right, for me, that was a good book, but might not be a great book for me. And then now I just and then once I come to Ramakrishna, and then I was into heartfulness way of meditation for a couple of years, where they referred. I think I don't remember the name of the. I think Designing Destiny or something is the book, which I've read, which is pretty good. It gave me some idea of it, right? So, but each book you read, it should put you in a next stage of whatever you're aspiring to be, right? Then reading books and everything makes sense. Right, so now I don't read much books about spirituality. I just read 2 books. One is Bhagavad Gita, and another one is Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Right, my guru says these 2 books, if you read, it's enough for you to reach whatever you want to achieve in spirituality. 2 books is enough, is what he said. Right, and also he adds to that, if you want to go fight with other intellectual people in spirituality to prove about your spiritual knowledge, you want to flex your spiritual muscles and everything, probably read all Vedanta and whatever books that you can get on spirituality. But if your goal is truly about reaching the end goal, which is enlightenment or whatever it is, right, then you just read 2 books, it's good for you.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying you need a guru who will, you could head in 100 direction. Guru will put you in we don't have time, we're all dying, just focus on this thing, this is good for you. Right, so yeah. That's where I feel like Gen Z's people also should find people who are at least 10, 15 years like elder to them, so that they can kind of help. Like there is a chance that whatever you say that I'm going to try it out, they would have already tried it out and then failed in many ways. So get better to get the wisdom and accelerate things faster.
Okay. So is there something like you're still trying to figure out about spirituality?
Oh, every day we figure it out, right? There are a lot of things to learn, like in terms of the materialistic life also. Like you were running a business, how what better you can do, how can you make it better? Spirituality, same thing. Like, can you make changes in something like this, so that you can like go to the next stages. Right? So every day it's a learning, right? But it might not be the learning that what you would have read about books or something. But this is a different learnings. Every day you need to put your ego at check. If you are a spiritual sadhaka or somebody, right? So that is very, very, very hard. You just have a bad day and then just all the practices that you do, you'll just forget about it and you'll just be who you are.
Yeah.
Right? So that is very hard, but you need to strive for that every day.
So okay.
Anything else? Okay.
Any like ending quote or thought about things for the audience?
Nothing, like life is short. We are all dying each single day, right? So make use of the time. Okay, instead of you going and exploring everything, if there is a chance where you can outsource the wisdom from someone else, learn it and move things faster, probably like you should do. And then but have a clarity on like where you are actually heading. There could be anything, even if you take up spirituality, right? Enlightenment is the goal. How you reach enlightenment is still a journey in itself. Similarly,
Yeah.
for you guys, if you want to, even in career, if you talk about it, right, at least have a vague idea where do you want to go. You can't say like I'll just go with the flow, right? For a person from the creative field or something, probably that makes sense. But if you are in a field where it's more about analytical coding and everything, there is a kind of a good career path, right? And you can aspire to be where you want to go. Then there is a higher chances of you actually reaching there than just leave everything, not like leave just everything to the luck or just go with the flow. Right? That's
Karma
something.
is important.
Yeah, whatever you do, it will come back, right?
I mean,
So
like karma in the sense like just actions. Actions give us the results. Karma. If you do karma, like we get the phala. That's what.
that is one way. In the materialistic plane, if you think about it, yes, you do karma for the karma phala, right? In spirituality, you do karma, but don't expect any phala out of it, right? You just have to give it to the God. Is what karma yoga is all about, or bhakti yoga. It's all the kind of it's just, but don't take the ownership. Basically, that's it.
Okay.
If you don't take ownership, you will be good. Okay, so yeah, like that's how it is. What was the question? I just sometimes lose
Some
track.
ending quotation, like thought.
Yeah. So the thing is that don't waste your time. Just do something worthwhile, meaningful, and then just like whatever you want to achieve, right? Just go and do it. Right? Don't think too much, twice, thrice. Like like don't try to be perfect in the early days, because the moment you try to be too perfect, right, you will probably never get anything out of it. So just start, and then you will figure it out on the go. Right. One of the famous director that I know in Tamil Nadu, I think he's called Vetrimaran. He's a good director. Right. Somebody asks him, so some interview folks, right? There's like, how do you become a good filmmaker? He said, just start filming.
Yeah, we
That's
just
it.
start off.
Yeah, it's as simple as this. Right? How do you become better in life? Just start becoming better today, and then just eventually you will become better. But doing that every day consistently is very hard. But yeah, figure out something whichever way that works, and just keep doing it every day, and then you figure it out. Don't wait for the perfect minute; it doesn't exist. But then you will end up with regrets, a lot of regrets. Right? So yeah. Any questions? Anything else? Anything from the audience?
Yeah, anything from the audience?
Anything from the cameraman? Yeah. So we have a questions from the cameraman. Please.
Yeah, science is what demystifies the mysticism, right?
Yeah. Science is what demystifies the mysticism. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, for the Gen Z people who
Yep.
doesn't understand what religious is and what these meditations do to your body, you can talk to them scientifically. What changes each technique makes to your body, or how it changes your brain, and how it can lead to enlightenment in the long run.
Okay, so your question is, uh, Gen Zs, since they come more from a scientific background, how do you make them understand all of this process and everything? Instead of probably talking about bigger things, how can you start something small so they can see results and then they'll continue in the path? I hope that's your, I paraphrased it a little bit, right? So, it's very simple. Like you see all the new age gurus, they come up, right? Initially, they were very speaking about, very true about what essence of spirituality is, which makes sense for people in those generations. The same thought process, we can't follow it. Meaning to say, that is true. That is absolutely truth. Okay. But people can't follow it. It's not because of whatever they said is wrong. It's because of people don't have the ability to understand the context, to understand what they have said it. Right. I myself fell for that. Right. So I can't speak for the other tradition. I can speak for my tradition, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa tradition. There, if you see, right, the lineage in such a way that the first set, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he didn't speak too much about a lot of things. No, he just said probably 5-6 things. If you follow that, you will reach the highest form. Whatever that you seek, enlightenment, you will get it. But the challenge is that it's very hard to understand what he said. He said something called Kamini Kanchana. You should like try to avoid. Right? Anybody who said like Kamini, Kanchana is like, Kamini is like what people might assume that it's a woman. Kamini, Kama and everything, it talks about women. Kanchana is just like gold, right? Money and everything, right? Is what we would assume, right? But if you come from the tradition through good gurus, if they explain about this knowledge, then you understand that Kamini is about not about more like a woman. It's more about the lust, right? Like lust for anything. Right? That's what it's talk about. It's not about like a money. It's about material desires in general, right? Same words are same, right? But the context to get it, it should come from a proper person who can kind of fine tune these things for a specific generation. Then we will understand. Anybody who reads about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa in the initial stage, right? They'll be like, it's all offensive things. Like, how can a person say something like talk bad about women is what we think. But think deeper, right? Half the problems, where it is originating from, right? For most of people's life, right? It should be a material desire or it becomes of the lust to somehow. The two things, if you like, avoid, right? You can become great, you can become Mahatma, right? But it's very hard to execute it. So this kind of concept, it's very hard to tell it to people who comes to scientific mind. Then he specifically trains Swami Vivekananda for this purpose. Okay, now you need to understand English. You need to become better at English. Now go to US, talk about all these things. Because if it comes from US, there is a high chance that Indian people will follow. Yeah. Spirituality is there for so many years, right? Are we doing it now? But some guy from US, they say meditation is important, then probably we will be like, okay, I'll also do meditation, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, different types of meditation. Sundar Pichai says that, hey, I do meditation, then probably we will also go and do meditation. Right? You're probably grannies were doing meditation for so many years. you never respect your granny. So that's what, like, I mean, like, by all of these things is that. So that's how, like, the spirituality, like, so to answer again to your question is that now everybody is kind of adapting. So if you go to Art of Living, they say that if you do meditation, scientific research, there are paper publications that prove that if you do this, your face will glow, or if you do this, you will usually calmer, right? So like this alpha, beta, gamma, and all the like, the ranges, they kind of measure it and then try to say that you are reaching into a different state and everything, right? Those things are good, of course, right? But again, right, like, are you doing all these things to satisfy others that I'm doing a scientific method to all these things, or your end goal is that to reach higher state? You need to prioritize, right? You can't just go have an argument with all the people convincing that why this is right and everything, right? Earlier, people used to do it, like the greatest acharya, like Madhvacharya, Adi Shankara, they used to go debate and everything, right? And nowadays, we don't need it. It's all well proven. A lot of people, like years and years, right? A lot of people are practicing it and reaching higher state with a little bit of faith. If you like, believe in it and experiment with it, you will also reach the same thing. But it's very hard because our mind will always say, what if this is not true? The amount of time that you're going to spend on this will be what if it's a waste of time? what other better things you're doing in life anyways. Right?
Yeah.
So might as well do this and try it out, right? Right. So that's how like I see things. But nowadays everybody talks about spirituality in terms of science. I also used to do it in the initial days, but after a point, like you really want to go up beyond. You need to even throw out this scientific mind of the things to go to the next step. Because once you reach a different stage, right, all of this logical thinking will not make sense at all. If you're not ready for it, then if you're still logical in a place where you can't, there is no logic applying, right? Then you will not elevate after a point. You'll still asking questions, you'll not do anything. So that's how it is. Start with good scientific knowledge is like prerequisites to have it. But half-baked science knowledge, half-baked spiritual knowledge, you put down together, that is the problem with the Gen Z, is what I think, because they don't have a good understanding of things yet. Right? They assume things because that's what they've heard. Some online fake gurus, they will probably listen to them, and then they will think that this is what spirituality is. Right? Their content, they might be good people, but they are dumbing down things for you to understand. But that might not be the essence of it. Like how I'm dumbing down most of the concepts right now to make people understand. Right? So that might not be 100% truth. Right? The truth is very different, confusing.